Welcome. I am happy to introduce to you Group 12 members. Miss Sally Delancey from Trinidad, who is also our group leader. Miss Shalene Jackson from Jamaica. Miss Rosalie Sherwood from Jamaica. Miss Denise Hutch from Anguilla. And here are the topics that we will be presenting on. 1. Give a summary of the history of the origin of early childhood education in the Caribbean. 2. State how was early childhood education in the Caribbean evolve over the last 10 years to facilitate the needs of nursery age students in the 21st century. 3. Demonstrate how Jerome Bruner's theory of development and Urie Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory has influenced change in teaching methods previously used in the early childhood setting. 4. Identify 4 benefits to be derived by parents, the community, and other stakeholders in having an early childhood center or school in their community. 5. Select one other Caribbean country that is presently promoting and investing in the development of early childhood care and education. Highlight what is currently being done in the selected country to effect or promote change and the strategies in place to address the COVID-19 pandemic in that country in relation to the education of the students. Thank you.
Hi, I am Rosalie Sherwood and welcome to our first symposium. Today I will be presenting on the history and origin of early childhood education in the Caribbean island. The evolution of early years education gained insight in the 20th century. According to the ECFS1001, Unit 1, 2012, postulated that the early childhood is a period in which a child embraces all experience of early experience from birth to 8 years old. These experiences cater to the holistic development of the child's needs. During these crucial time, the development of these young children are influenced by their environment. In 1934, Trinidad and Tobago was the first CARICOM country to establish a preschool. In the 1938, Jamaica followed that undertaking and opened a first community-based school. The needs to educate children continue to increase through to the 1950s. However, insufficient funding and investment was not flowing in the Caribbean. Hence, the private sector took on the responsibility to develop early childhood programs. However, the central governments of Grenada, Guyana, and Barbados did not allow the private sector to control their early childhood programs. The 1950s financial aid was derived from 2 independent investors. This was the UNICEF and the Bronfenbrenner Foundation. The funding was geared towards financial aid in supporting childcare development and educational service. In 1972, the governments of Jamaica, Dominica, and a few other countries started the age-appropriate curriculum in order to train teachers and childcare providers. This was a major achievement towards early childhood development. In 1976 to 1967, The government of Bahamas came on board with UNICEF and held a regional conference to educate persons of the importance of healthy development in early childhood sector. Throughout the 1950s, many countries faces economic as well as social issues. This led to a robust search in problems affecting not only children but their families. Ladies and gentlemen, despite these prevailing issues and setbacks, the governments of Jamaica, Guyana, Barbados continue to push towards with the development of child education. In St. Vincent and the British Virgin Islands, the early education continue under the purview of the private sector. As a result, Caribbean islands such as Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago started their training program. Jamaica established Caribbean Child Development Center, and Trinidad and Tobago the Serval Industrial Organization. The initiative in St. Vincent was called Can Save Child Welfare Center. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of my presentation on the history and origin of early childhood development within the Caribbean. I thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Denise Hodge and welcome to the second symposium. I'll be presenting on how early childhood education in the Caribbean has evolved over the last 10 years to facilitate the needs of nursery-age students in the 21st century. I'll speak about three main points which has evolved and helped to make education better and meet the needs of nursery-age students. So about 10 years ago, the internet was used to help in education, but information may not have been easily accessible as it is today. In years past, there were not many popular educational cartoons and fun videos that were interesting and interactive for children to watch. Now in the 21st century, there are a number of things that children can watch that can benefit them in their learning. These can be learned beforehand, as children no longer have to wait until they start preschool to learn the basics of schooling, like knowing their ABCs or their 1, 2, 3s. They can find games, videos, and shows that are very interactive and can assist in this at an early age. Secondly, another evolution of early childhood education is policies that have been initiated by the government. Many governments have made policies that help and support early childhood education. An example of a policy is the Early Childhood Commission, which was established in the Early Childhood Commission Act. This policy is in Jamaica and seeks to improve the quality of education in the early childhood sector. There are many other different policies and programs that are aimed at developing early childhood education, and they are very important as this is a crucial part of a child's life. Our last and final point is online learning. Bringing it even closer to home, in the present day, we see the change caused by this pandemic. We went from traditional schooling to online schooling, also known as e-learning. This coronavirus is running rampant everywhere, and schools had to be shut down in order to protect us all from contracting or spreading the virus. But at this age, learning is very important in their young lives, and they should not miss out on it. It can be very hard trying to teach little ones through a computer screen because we know that they can get distracted easily. But having them in a classroom in times like these can be even worse. They may not want to keep their mask on, and they tend to put their hands in different objects in their mouth, which can be a way to catch this virus. Through this pandemic, we have to try and make the best of it and keep our children engaged and learning. We see the evolution of the internet as it has more information that can be accessed easily. There are policies now put in place for the betterment of early childhood education and the change from traditional schooling to online schooling to ensure that education continues in children. Thank you for listening to Symposium number 2. I will now hand you over to Ms. Sally Delancey, who will lead you in Symposium number 3.
Hello everyone, welcome to the third symposium. I am Sally Delancey, your presenter. Today I'm going to look at Jerome Bruner's theory of development and Urie Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory. In addition to looking at these two theories, I'm going to look at how they have influenced change in the teaching methods previously used in the early childhood setting. First, let's look at the traditional versus contemporary methods of teaching. Teaching styles have changed significantly over the years. Traditionally, education was delivered via the memorization technique and the recitation technique. However, the contemporary style now involves the use of interactive methods. Let's look at a few differences of the traditional classroom versus the contemporary classroom. Traditional classrooms, they are more teacher-centered, they are strict and unchanging rules. Rules are set up by the teachers. Students do not have a voice in the classroom. It's only centered on the inside of the school. Only the inside of the school is taken into consideration. It's autocratic in nature. Students are passive. Aims are decided by teachers. Students are expected to memorize knowledge. Contemporary classrooms, however, they are more student-centered, flexible rules. Teachers and students co-construct the rules. Students have a voice in the classroom. Both inside and outside of school are taken into consideration, so the internal factors and external factors are considered. There's no central authority. Also, it's a very democratic atmosphere in the classroom. Let's discuss Jerome Bruner's theory of development. Jerome Bruner was considered one of the founding fathers of constructivist theory. Unlike the behaviorist, the constructivist theorists do not believe that children are blank slates or tabula rasa. According to the constructivist theorist, learning is a social and active process whereby children build on or construct new ideas and concepts by utilizing their own prior knowledge, cultural influences, and past experiences. All this according to ECFS1001, Unit 2, 2012. In other words, students construct new ideas or concepts based upon their existing knowledge and experiences. Jerome Bruner proposed 3 modes of learning. 1, an active mode. 2, iconic mode. 3, symbolic mode. 1. The enactive mode. This occurs in children from birth to age 1. Here, learning is action-based. Children learn about the world via a hands-on approach on physical objects and the outcomes or effects of those objects. This occurs via touching, feeling, tasting, manipulating. For example, a baby takes hold of a book and turns the pages. After repeating this action several times, a connection is made on how to manipulate this object. In this instance, the book. Another example is a baby plays with a toy car or a toy truck. 2. The iconic mode. This occurs in children from 1 year to 6 years old. Here, learning is visually based. This is the pictorial stage where children learn via the use of pictures, models, videos, manipulatives, maps, flowcharts, and diagrams. For example, a toddler looks at a picture and sees a big red juicy apple. This, of course, helps him or her to learn about the letter A. Also, a toddler can look at a movie about toy cars. 3. The symbolic mode, which occurs in children 7 years and onwards. Here, learning is language-based or auditory-based. Children develop the capacity to think in abstract terms and interpret words, that is language, and symbols. Children can read books and research to further develop their language skills. For example, apples and mangoes are now grouped as fruits instead of individual objects or items. Again, children can consult reference texts and discuss their findings about cars or vehicles on a whole. Now let's discuss how Jerome Bruner's theory can influence teaching methods. Bruner believed that any subject could be taught at any stage of development in a way that fits the child's cognitive abilities. In order to accomplish this, he proposed that the curriculum should be organized in a spiral manner. What is Bruner's spiral curriculum? Well, the spiral curriculum refers to the idea of revisiting basic ideas over and over, building upon them and elaborating to the level of full understanding or mastery. In this way, students could repeatedly build on what they would have already learned. In line with Bruner's theory of development, students are no longer looked on as blank slates. 2. The school and its teachers are no longer considered the sole providers or bestowers of all knowledge. Thirdly, the teachers involve students in their own learning by allowing them to use prior knowledge and experiences in order to learn new concepts. Also, by using Bruner's theory of development, teachers have sought to empower and stimulate their students to discover principles by themselves. Also, teachers have encouraged and rewarded intuitive and analytical thinking, and both teachers and students engage in active dialogue. Let's move on to Urie Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory. According to Guy Evans 2020, Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory comprised of 5 environmental structures or systems which he proposed can affect or influence a child's development. He labeled them the microsystem, the mesosystem, the exosystem, the macrosystem, and the chronosystem. The microsystem comprises the immediate environment in which a child lives and interacts. It includes the family, that is parents, siblings, teachers, and peers. The relationship in the microsystem is bidirectional in that both the child and the immediate environment can influence each other. The mesosystem focuses on relationships between the microsystem. For example, a child's teacher may communicate with his or her parents, or the parents may communicate with their child's friends or classmates. The exosystem includes those social structures which do not directly involve the child, but which can indirectly influence him or her. It involves a child's neighborhood, their parents' workplace, their parents' friends, and even the mass media. The exosystem can affect a compound of the child's microsystem. For example, if the child's father has a poor working relationship with his supervisor, then that can affect the relationship with the child. For example, he may lose his temper when he's at home. The macrosystem. The macrosystem focuses on how culture, the child's family, socioeconomic status, ethnicity, and geographical location can affect a child's development. The macrosystem can influence beliefs and ideologies about life. For example, a child who lives in Trinidad and Tobago will have a different experience from a child who lives in Grenada, Jamaica, or even the United States of America. The chronosystem includes environmental changes and events which can influence a child's development. For example, parents getting divorced, wars, or even the COVID-19 global pandemic. What is Bronfenbrenner's influence on teaching methods? Well, according to Bronfenbrenner, no child is an island or lives in an isolated vacuum. He believed that a child's development was influenced by everything in the surrounding environment and by the social interactions that occurred within it. Hence, Taylor and Gibre 2016 argued that it was virtually impossible to understand a child's development without giving ample consideration to his or her social context. Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory can be applied to the following situation. 1. A child with consistent behavioral problems, for example, bullying. 2. Children with a sudden change in behavior, so teachers can seek to understand whether these issues are due to problems at the student's home or in their neighborhood. And 3. Children who have moved to a new school, so teachers can seek to understand, is the move due to a divorce, the death of a loved one, unemployment of a parent, or is it due to greater opportunities for employment within the family? Additionally, teachers and school administrators can use Bronfenbrenner's theory to 1. Increase students' academic achievement and education attainment by involving parents, peers, stakeholders, etc. Finally, the theory can be used to create a personalized learning experience and school environment that is suitable to the students' needs, characteristics, culture, and family background. So, my dear audience, I have come to the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. Hello again. Let's look at the benefit of an early childhood center or school. How do parents benefit from an early childhood center or school? 1. Parents can seek employment outside of the home with the full knowledge that their child or children are cared for in a quality, safe learning and nurturing environment. 2. Early childhood centers provide information for parents on their child's developmental milestones, including what is expected at each stage. 3. Parents who understand what their child is working at or working on at a preschool has a better sense of their child's competency and which areas can be worked on to improve, for example, self-confidence and ability. 4. An early childhood center or school promotes family engagement. It encourages parents to achieve. An early childhood center or school promotes family engagement. It encourages parents to be active partners in participating in the activities at the center or school, thereby developing trusting relationships with teachers and administrators. The benefits of an early childhood center or school in the community are as follows. 1. The creation of additional employment opportunities for residents. 2. Fewer crimes are committed within the community or society as a whole. Early childhood education sets the foundation for lifelong learning, including a way out of poverty, among other things. As such, as children grow into well-rounded adults, they now have other alternatives. 3. It provides a higher labor market participation and lower the poverty levels. And 4, the local community where the child actually lives and the wider community spend less on social, welfare, and/or security programs. What are the benefits of an early childhood center or school among other stakeholders? Well, children are stakeholders, so it increases brain capacity. According to ECFS1002, Unit 2, 2012, research in neuroscience has discovered that the most crucial period for brain development is between birth to age 5. The size of a child's vocabulary depends heavily on how many words adults use when speaking to him or her. In addition to a child's parents, early childhood educators work at increasing vocabulary, which can build brain capacity. 2, it builds relationships and social skills. 3, it is the building block for future learning. Early childhood education prepares children for learning well beyond the preschool. And 4, according to UNESCO, early childhood education helps with building physical skills. Physical development directly influences a child's ability to learn. By learning to use their fine motor skills, children learn to hold a pencil and then learn to write. And with their gross motor skills, children learn to balance and coordinate their actions. And this, according to Brooks, helps them to build physical skills. Thank you so much.
Welcome to our 5th symposium. My name is Shalene Jackson and I'll be presenting on one other Caribbean country that is presently promoting and investing in the development of early childhood care and education. Over the years, early childhood care and education in the Caribbean has seen its fair share of development. When it comes to teacher training, infrastructural development, a standardized curriculum, among other things. One Caribbean country that is presently promoting and investing in the development of early childhood care and education is Trinidad and Tobago. The Twin Island Republic has adopted policies to govern early childhood education. For example, the National Policy on Early Childhood Care and Education. This is a white paper which outlines a standard for regulating the early childhood service in 8 noteworthy areas, that is: 1. Registration and licensing of centers. 2. Staffing. 3. Quality practices. 4. Quality standards for children birth to 3 years old. 5. Quality standards for the environment for children between 3 to 5 years old. 6. Record keeping. 7. Health and safety. 8. The physical environment. Secondly, there is the draft education policy paper, abridged version, with section dedicated to ECCE, aimed at improving the quality of education and governance. The third policy document is entitled the National Early Childhood Care and Education Curriculum Guide, a scientific-based document which directs the curriculum planning for children ages 3 to 4 in 5 critical areas: wellness, effective communication, aesthetic expression, intellectual empowerment, and citizenship. The Ministry of Education in Trinidad and Tobago is also working with universities to train the teachers as they see fit. With the assistance of the Accreditation Council of the Trinidad and Tobago, agreement by all providers has been reached on a standard ECC certificate program offered to applicants, standardization of the Bachelor of Education in Early Childhood Care and Education, and a Bachelor of Education Primary is now in progress. These providers are offering courses in certificate, diploma, and degree qualifications. I will also highlight what's currently being done to effect and promote changes and the strategies in place to address the COVID-19 pandemic in that country in relation to the education of the students. On 12th of March 2020, Trinidad and Tobago recorded its first case of the COVID-19 virus. Not long after the government closed all schools and implemented an online learning system. Students use multiple mediums to access their curriculum: the television, phones, and other devices. Also, the Ministry of Education has developed a booklet packed with creative and fun-filled activities for parents and teachers to work with their children at home. Thank you.